Hello and welcome to Stretford, Paddock. My name is Joe, that is Stephen Howson, and we're going to be talking about managers, Steve. And I want to talk, last week we sat here and we spoke about Ruben Amorim. We'd just beaten Chelsea. We looked at some positives. It wasn't all positive. You still expressed your doubts. But there's certainly very few to no positives now. Just firstly, last week you got to the point where you thought that Amorim probably wouldn't kind of make it through this. Are you more certain than ever of that now?
Are you mad?
I'm just getting a foundation for the video.
I don't remember what we said. I don't remember what video we did last week. What did we say?
You said that you'd sort of lost faith in Amorim a little bit.
Okay.
Presumably, do you think that now extends to the sort of wider fan base? And crucially, do you think that's extended to Ineos yet?
Really don't know. I think they're in a situation where they got to shit or get off the pot, aren't they? I think. They've got not a lot of options here now. They either have to come out and go, hey, it's a long-term project and he's the man. Stop talking. Or bullet him. The silence, which I know you can't, after every single game, come out and be like, he's still our man. He's still our man.
Yeah.
He's still our man. Like, you can't do it after every game because that's insanity. But I don't think the noise has ever been like this before. And I think I don't think there's any... Unless you're going to sack him, there's no negatives to coming out and saying he's our man. Because it quietens down all that noise, which clearly seeps in to the dressing room and to the feeling around the place. It absolutely does. You know, whether it's dinner ladies side-eyeing him, you know, when like, must get that tenner he owes me this week.
I lent him a broom the other week. I could do getting that back.
Yeah, get that back before it's some different fella. So I don't think there's any negatives to them coming out and just quieting that noise down if they intend to stick. If they're thinking about twisting, then the lack of communications kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because you look mental if you go, hey, he's our man. Don't worry about that. Don't look at that.
Yeah, and then he's sacked 3 days later. Well, I want to look at some of the alternatives, and I sort of, part of me hates doing this because we're kind of looking for roles that don't currently exist, and it's a little bit disrespectful to Amorim, but as fans, we aren't Manchester United doing this video. This isn't Jim Ratcliffe and Omar Barada sat here, which would be mad. And actually, they did do that last summer, where they went and interviewed people for a job that didn't exist yet, while Erik ten Hag was here. We're going to talk about what we want as the future Man United, what we predict and what we sort of see, you know, the way we see things going. You did a video...
Do you know what? I don't think it is disrespectful to do it. I think it's just due diligence. Yeah, I've always said you should have a live list. And if you establish that as what you do, I don't think it undermines the manager. I think it even strengthens the manager. It strengthens the club. Maybe the managers wouldn't be hot with it. No, you wouldn't love it, but that's probably how you got the job in the first place. I think they should actively go out and just be, that's our guy. But if he gets mullered by a double-decker tomorrow, we don't have a guy. You could almost frame it like that.
But football managers aren't just sort of equations and, you know, slotting someone in on FIFA Ultimate Team. Imagine you had a list of women should something happen to Janine.
What do you mean? If.
Imagine, sorry, you have a list. No,
yeah,
I don't, but that wouldn't go down well, would it? Because it's more of a relationship than it is just this business transaction. You know, by the way, here's the 5 women that I will date if something ever happens with us.
Yeah, it's Kelly Brooks, Eva Mendes,
yeah,
Denise Van Outen, she knows the list.
Very much of an era, by the way, those names.
I am of an era.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Certain things seem like they could be a good idea, but in reality, it probably puts more pressure on than it does sort of help, you know, build United's kind of confidence. Wouldn't it just like undermine Amorim start to finish, do you think?
I don't think you need to have it on a telly when he walks in the building at the front door of Carrington.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No,
just a rolling ticker that's like on a big sort of multiplex.
Yeah, like someone did all right this week and then they've moved up to 3.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Glasner's just won their FA Cup. He's jumped up 2 places, like the pound for pound charts in MMA.
No, I don't think it can be that, no. I think it needs to be succession planning.
Okay.
In the same way that you would be looking at the squad over the next 1 to 3 to 5 years, where you would probably be thinking about selling that guy and somebody coming in. No, I think you absolutely have to have that. And yeah, maybe the manager's not involved in the decision making of that per se. But I think that we probably missed a trick by allowing Sir Alex Ferguson to announce that he was leaving in the manner that he was.
Yeah.
and not have that list already boxed off.
Yeah, when your manager's in his 70s, it's probably worth thinking about, especially, isn't it?
When your manager's just got here, maybe not, but actually, why not?
Well, let's start getting into this list then, because there's a few names that have been mentioned the most. Some of which, to me, scream that their agent has gone to a journalist and said, "Tell the world I'm up for this." We saw Ben Jacobs talking about Oliver Glasner, about Gareth Southgate. I think Xavi Hernandez, another one as well, who has sort of made it clear via people that they would all be up for the job. I don't think there's any surprises with any of them. I think people were like, "Oh, Glasner's up for it." Well, yeah, of course he is. He's never won anything as a manager. He manages Crystal Palace. He'd probably take the United job.
Wait.
Go on.
Win the Europa League with Frankfurt.
Apologies.
Won the FA Cup.
Apologies.
But a couple of months ago.
Yes, I don't mean he has never won anything.
people's hearts.
I'm saying he isn't a manager that Manchester United are of an equivalent to the teams that he's managed before. It would be a big step up for him. I don't think it's a shock to me that he would come in and take that job. The same with, certainly in terms of not winning anything, Gareth Southgate is on that list. I think Iraola, I don't think he's won anything either. Xavi's won the...
I think Iraola won promotion.
La Liga.
Vallecano?
Yeah, he did. There's no league titles on this list other than Xavi. The same goes for Fabian Hürzeler as well. Of those names...
That was literally the list I did yesterday.
Yes, so that's where we're starting. And I'll sort of broaden it out a little bit because I think there's a few other options. Of those names, you mentioned Glasner as one that you think would maybe be your favourite of those.
Yep.
How come? And do you... Yes, he might be the best of those five, but do you think he is actually a suitable next step for Manchester United?
Yep.
How come?
Premier League proven.
Yep.
Would probably be able to work with the players that we've got in the squad that we've got, despite the fact that I don't think our midfield is quite as good. I think Lerner and Wharton perfectly suit what he's been asked to do there, but I also think that the structure that he has that 3-4-3 playing in, he would be able to make that work at Manchester United. I don't think that'd be a big stretch. He's a winner. The fact that you've won something with Crystal Palace is a massive tick in the box, because is that their first ever trophy?
I think so. Yeah.
You win the Europa League with Frankfurt, not something that happens frequently. Mm-hmm. This is a man that's, and he had them competing as well. This is a man that has proven he can win stuff, and he's also the only undefeated manager in the Premier League right now. Not a coincidence. Like he went on a big run last season. He literally delivered a trophy against the odds. Probably a little bit short-term thinking looking at the result that they got at the weekend. However, I think football is increasingly becoming this short-term game.
So when you say that, do you mean as in you don't expect him to be here for a long time, or you think that even though his success has been relatively short-term, you would go for him anyway?
Both.
I mean, obviously, for me, my reservation with him would be never managed a big club. And I know, like you said, I do appreciate, and I said before, he hasn't won anything. He's never won a league title. He's never gone toe-to-toe with the big boys across a 38 or whatever the league be season and come out on top. His couple of cups is very good, especially with who he's won it with. But he strikes me as someone that, if we happened to have sacked Amorim 6 months ago, it would be maybe Emery at the top of this list. If we'd have sacked him 18 months ago, it would probably have been Ange at the top of this list. He seems like, yes, he's good and he's got a good CV, but does he have enough of a CV? Does he have the sort of the pedigree? And this goes for a lot of people on this list, that when things are going wrong at Manchester United, he has any idea of how to turn that around.
Who in world football at the moment has got evidence of turning something around?
Well, in terms of going through a rough patch and coming out of it to win a league title, I think Xavi's got that. He took over a Barca that were really sort of politically struggling. On the pitch, they were struggling.
But did he get fired?
He did get fired. Yeah, he did. Which obviously not ideal.
Literally nobody in this, in the world of football, has done everything that you want them to do.
No.
And I think football, a little bit like boxing in a way, is such a momentum and flavour of the month kind of thing with managers. You are hot until you're not hot, and that first sacking is quite devastating for people, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, you can go hop, 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 and the first time you get the bullet, Look at Ange.
Yeah.
You know, the first time you get a bullet, over.
Yeah, Potter at Chelsea. Even though it's sort of, he came into a weird setup and all that, his reputation.
Moyes?
It took him years to recover. It took him 6 or 7 years to come back from what happened at United. Let's move on to another guy then who hasn't been sacked in a while. Gareth Southgate. I know he's left England. I know obviously you're not a fan. The
Jesus Christ, that's underselling it.
You think
I might boycott United if they hired him. Genuinely.
Just from a purely getting players enjoying being there perspective.
Joe, fuck off.
I think that would be the selling point. Even if it's a tiny selling point with a load of reasons not to sign him, obviously for you that isn't enough.
No. And he's taken a lot of credit for stuff that I don't even know he was responsible for. There was a podcast with Wayne Rooney that I saw 7 or 8 months ago where they were talking about the England camp, and like there is this sort of perception of it being a lot more together than it ever has been, and blah blah blah. I think some of that is just the media has decided to stop being dicks with them because of a lot of the accusations of racism they got for the way they dealt with some of the players. Genuinely, I think that's half of the reason. The mood is better because the press isn't hammering them in the way that they have done for previous decades. The players are a little bit more together than they ever have. That could also just be players in 2025.
Yeah.
Is that Gareth Southgate's doing? The guy's got all the personality of a fart. I don't think it's his doing. And then what Wayne Rooney said was he was responsible for that. When he was captain, he tried to stop all of that. Liverpool sit there, United sit there, Chelsea sit there. Like, he got everyone together. He says he did that. I'm more inclined to believe Wayne Rooney in that instance than the fact that Gareth fucking Southgate had anything to do with that.
I think there was a
fucking waistcoat wearing prick.
There was a whole kind of. I've seen you in a waistcoat before.
Yeah, but not on a fucking touchline, you want.
That's a good point.
Didn't make it a personality either.
No, that's true. The whole.
Tell me one fucking thing he's ever said that you went, wow.
Well, no, but you
tell me one game he's ever won that he wasn't meant to fucking win.
But I think with international football, especially when you've got a squad as good as England's, the number of teams you can play where you weren't meant to win is pretty small. You know, I know that he didn't have a great record. But anyway, getting to multiple finals, multiple semi-finals, that is certainly better than we've had in our lifetime. So he's done something right, whether it's just harnessing talent better than others have or whatever. He didn't do badly for England, and he changed the way that we expect England to perform.
So the only thing he actually did for England?
Go on.
That he actually did, because getting to a final and semi-finals isn't actually doing anything. The only thing he actually did was relegate England, and people gloss over that.
In the Nations League?
Correct.
Yeah, well, that's just basically just friendly, isn't it?
Which means, and he still got relegated.
Sure.
So the only thing he's ever done is get relegated at club and country. Impressive.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Xavi a little bit more then, because he's someone that obviously has got one thing that none of these other managers have got. He's won a top 5 league. It's not easy to do that. I know it's with Barcelona, so it kind of bridges the gap 80% of the way forward. He didn't win it with Real Vallecano, but he did win it. He's one of the greatest midfielders of his generation. Fantastic footballer, has a bit more of the aura.
The Spanish Paul Scholes?
They call him the Spanish Paul Scholes, the Spanish Tom Cleverley. He's got some of the aura, as the kids say, of fucking hell, that's Xavi, that none of the other guys I don't think have. Why would you be keen? Why wouldn't you be keen?
Adaptation to the Premier League would be one thing.
Yeah.
The number of games managed would be another. Pep took a minute and all the riches that the world's ever seen with a Manchester City team that had been champions 18 months prior to his appointment, to be able to, or was it even 18 months? It might have even been 6 months prior to his appointment. It still took him a full season to wrap his head around it, and this is after he'd managed 3 years in Spain, 3 years in Germany. It took him a minute to be able to get his head around English football. And he did so with a team that's so far ahead of where this Manchester United team is right now. I think the negatives are pretty obvious in that experience front. The positives, Barcelona played some sensational football under him. Probably the best I've seen outside of that Pep team that beat us. I think he proved Xavi Pedri came through under his watch. They might have come through under anyone, in all honesty, but no, they did come through under his watch, so you do get the credit for that. I think there's certain players that you know exactly what he would try and implement, system-wise. It's literally the Barcelona blueprint, I presume. There's certain players that I think would really suit working with someone like Xavi. I think Jim Thwaites, Kobe Mainoo would be at training at 5:45 in the morning, waiting for him. First day he got there, teach me. Massive positives in that front. And a name that wouldn't be scared of walking into Old Trafford, because there's no bigger shit show and fucking messy place to go and work than Barcelona, with the expectation that you've got there. It'd almost be easy to come to Old Trafford after that, especially with your personal connection that you've got to Barcelona, I imagine.
I want to move on to someone else, but there's a point I want to make at the end of this. So there's a few other managers. Obviously, you mentioned Iraola. I think he's another one that is worth mentioning. I think Hertzler we can kind of go past a little bit, because I think he just feels a little bit low on the ranking of priority. Iraola has done excellent things with Bournemouth, made them consistently one of the hardest teams to play in the Premier League. Top teams really struggle against them. I know they don't, their league finishes aren't particularly exciting, but their budget is tiny. They're playing in front of 12,000 fans every week. They don't have the money coming in that, top teams do. And he has 100% installed an obvious, consistent and very difficult to play against system there. Do you think he has got what it takes to take that step up? Because again, much like Glasner, but even less so because he doesn't have those sort of trophies, he doesn't really have that fucking hell Iraola's here like Xavi's got.
Yeah, and I do think you need a bit of that.
Yeah. Because
I think Ten Hag got ate up a little bit by that. I don't think he had the personality to be United manager. I think he was a lot better than he got the credit for, but he was like a rabbit in the headlights at times as well, with the size of the club.
Yeah.
And I do think that having that charisma and that personality, like Jamie Carragher touched on it, that might be helping Amrim right now a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think you have to have a little bit about you to be Manchester United manager, because you're getting it from all angles.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to bounce that off a little bit and maybe even give it back a little bit.
Because also with him, and the reason I bring this up, I know some people will think, well, it doesn't matter this time, but it does sort of matter. And also when a manager comes in and you can say from the very start where the weakness is, that the media, that social media will fire that jet of water into to try and crack the whole thing open, it is he's not big enough. He hasn't been here before. I think with Amrim and with Ten Hag, you try and cover all your bases by, they're very successful, they've won a lot of trophies. Yes, the downside is it's not in the biggest league, but it's kind of a mixture of everything. They're up and coming and promising enough. They've won enough. Maybe that'll do it. But even then, not a top 5 league will kill you. I think, with a Glasner to a lesser extent, but still an Iraola, I just think that pressure point I can already see of he can't handle it. He's not big enough for this job. That would be my worry with him. And obviously, if things go well, none of this matters. It doesn't matter what your weaknesses are if you're winning every week. But it's if you're not, and second season comes around and, we're not athletic enough and we're not sticking to the principles, I can just see it now. He ain't big enough. He can't do it. That would be my worry with Iraola. A couple of others that you didn't mention in your video yesterday. Nagelsmann is a name that's been around for a while. Interesting character that at one time was thought of as the next big thing. Then he had a kind of weird time at Bayern Munich that people really criticised him for.
No credit at Bayern Munich.
No, but exactly. He got loads of criticism at the time, but I feel like then once Tuchel went there, people retroactively look back at Nagelsmann and went, actually, he did all right, because Tuchel really struggled, didn't he? So I think his stock has sort of risen, even though he's not in club football anymore. Obviously, he's the Germany manager, contracted until after the World Cup, so it would be a case of interim, wait for him. Is he someone you'd be keen on or not really?
Yeah.
You'd be up for chucking an interim in there?
No, but I would go with Nagelsmann.
Do you think you'd be able to get him before the World Cup then?
No.
So how do we bridge between now and August?
Well, it'd be a shit show, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be an absolute shit show.
Bring Uncle Ralph again.
Who would you bring in if it was interim time?
Who do you like? No one. There's no one. There's no one that's the right answer.
Let me give you a few options.
Go on.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
No.
Michael Carrick.
No.
Wayne Rooney?
Let me go back. Ollie, no, because I think we hurt him with how it ended last time.
Yeah, me too.
And I think he lost his confidence a little bit, and I think it would be undermining him to bring him back again when you've binned him. I know it's a different board.
Yeah, no, I see that.
Michael Carrick, no, because I think he's still cutting his teeth and he's on the upward trajectory. And like I said, I know he's already done the interim thing. Why would you have a second bite at a cherry of doing that?
Because at the minute, what has he got sacked from Middlesbrough a couple of weeks ago? I know he'll get another championship job, but you prove it. And also, you think, I might get 7 months here. If I can get this team to finish 8th and get Europa Conference, that might get me a Premier League job or a Bundesliga job. Or
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
My instinct is no.
Okay. Rooney?
No.
Van
And
Nistelrooy?
again, Rooney aside, all of these guys have been interim Manchester United manager.
Yeah.
And I know you're like, well, so's Ralph. But we don't have that personal connection with Ralph. And I think that
You'd have Ralph Rangnick back?
fucking right I would, yeah.
They couldn't possibly do that.
Why?
Because it was, at the time, the worst we'd been in our lifetime. I know, obviously, we've since sunk to lower lows, but surely he doesn't represent anything other than, A, going back to a time when we thought we'd moved on from. He's getting asked about open heart surgery every press conference for 9 months. And also,
I think he turns up in scrubs. That's how you unveil him.
His hands in iodine. No, I think that's maybe a little bit on the nose.
I mean, look, maybe it's not the good idea, but there isn't a better idea.
I don't know.
It depends what you're going to. If it's Nagelsmann, Ralph Rangnick makes so much sense.
Right.
Because they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah. There's a couple of other wild cards.
There's no point going with an interim that's going to play a totally different style of play to what you're bringing in.
No,
it's
I get
mental.
that makes sense. I've got a couple of sort of wild cards for you.
And Rooney needs to go and be successful somewhere.
Yeah, fair enough. Wild card number 1, Cesc Fabregas.
I see where you're going with that. Isn't he an owner?
I think he's a part owner and coach of Como.
Yeah, I think so. That I think would
he's got
complicate it.
So he's at the moment all aura, no trophies. He's kind of
you say all aura, but he's managing fucking Como.
Yeah, he is.
They're literally like a grown-up version of hashtag in Italian football, and he's doing a good job by all accounts.
Yeah, he is. But he can't say, look what I've won as a manager.
No, he can't.
But he is top 10 Premier League midfielders of all time. Do you think that...
Wait, what?
He probably is.
We're going to have to revisit this on another day, but
I'm going to say he's top 10.
Absolutely fucking not.
You don't think it says Fabregas?
No.
I'm saying he probably is. Anyway, let me know to get into that. Would he be someone you'd be interested in?
No, again, I think he's very much a bit of a flavour of the month.
Okay.
See what happens with him as he progresses.
Here's another flavour of the month, but it was a flavour of the month 12 months ago. Simone Inzaghi. Now, he was did fantastically well at Inter. Won the league there. Got to 2 Champions League finals. Was this sort of up and coming, plays 3 at the back. I know it's not exactly the same, but again, we could probably adapt him, or he could adapt us.
Joe, we could play fucking 4 at the back and it'd be sound.
That's true. All of a sudden, though, he takes the Saudi money and he's out of the sort of European rat race, and everyone seems to have gone, that's the end of him. But he ticks the box of, I've actually won stuff, and I've got a team that wasn't competing at the top level to 2 Champions League finals. That's pretty sensational.
Yeah.
Is he interested in you at all?
It's not one of the craziest ideas, but yeah, you'd have to see where his ambition lies, because I think you're going to have to tempt him away from the beaches and the money in Saudi.
It's a mad one, that, isn't it? That he was.
The whole Saudi experiment is insane to me, because the level of some of the players that are playing there.
Yeah.
It's not MLS. 40 years ago, where you was getting George Best having a kickabout and shit like that. Like it is very different.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it's going with it, because the disparity inside of a team is mental.
Yeah.
You got Benzema and a fella probably on 300 quid a week. Like, it's bonkers.
It is absolutely bonkers. Do you see Laurent Blanc got sacked this week, by the way?
No.
He won the league and cup last year, has won 3 out of 4 games this year, and then lost to Al Nassr, and they're just like, no, we can't have that. You can't.
It's bonkers, isn't it?
It is bonkers.
Absolutely bonkers.
The final thing I want to say is there a way that, or not is there a way, because there is, what is the way he could turn this around? Just paint me a picture of, if it's possible, and let's say in 12 months' time, United have finished 7th, and we're in the season being really positive, how does that start to look, do you think? How does that come about?
You have to change the things that we are seeing consistently week in, week out. With Bayern Day being the first thing to change, I think. You have to stop conceding shit goals that everyone's seen us concede for the last 3 or 4 months. You have to stop being absolutely carved open to pieces on the counter. You have to start winning games. You have to get that fella getting his hair cut, for starters. That needs to be the first thing on your list. You want to keep your job, he needs to be in the barber's booked by the end of next month. You have to you have to win a game, right? Let's start with win a game. And then you have to win the next game because you haven't done that yet. So back-to-back wins is the first thing that it has to start with. And then you got to go on a run. And I think to do that, you have to fix some of those glaring holes in midfield. You probably have to answer the Bruno Fernandes question.
Right.
Where does he fit where you get the best out of him and the team benefits? Someone said something in one of my comments earlier this morning and I went, that's probably truer than I want to admit it is. Liverpool weren't successful while they had Steven Gerrard, who they all adored. And then when he went, they actually bucked up and became successful. Coincidence or linked? You know, who actually knows, but that happened. Mm-hmm. Undeniable, that happened. You know, what's the cause, what's the effect? I don't know. But maybe, in hindsight, Bruno not going in the summer and not being replaced by a Baleba or a Wharton or both is a watershed moment for us that maybe Amorim can't recover from, because you're trying to shoehorn a player in where you get a worse version of Bruno Fernandes played deeper. You get a worse midfield because he's played deeper. You don't get the attacking output because he's played deeper. It's just bad all around. And finding a way to fit him into the team is detrimental to the team at the moment. He's not a bad footballer. He's being made to look like a bad footballer because he's playing in a position that he can't play. I think we all thought, well, he's an intelligent, hard-working footballer. He'll figure it out. But he's not. And I think when you're going away to teams like a Brentford, where you know they're going to try and hit you on the counter with absolutely blistering pace, playing the slowest defence that you could find available, is mental. I think there's a few things you could do where you go, make it happen. Throw Lamens in. Let's see what he's about. Give another academy kid a debut. That'll always bring positivity. Jim Thwaites looks sensational. Is he ready to start the Premier League? Fuck no. Give him 20 minutes though. Let's see what he can do, because he looks outrageous at the moment. He's press resistant. He can get on a turn. He's doing genuinely mad shit. Throw Shea Lacey a bone. Give him 10 minutes at the end of a game. See what he can do. Yeah. Because you can't tell me he looks less ready than some of the kids that have been getting debuts at other teams. You can't tell me that, because he doesn't. So that alone would bring a little bit of positivity. It would change the narrative as well. It'd give people other things to focus on rather than fucking state of our midfield.
Yeah, rather than same again.
Put Lamens in net. Find a solution to Bruno. Play some academy players. Win a fucking game. And then win the next one. And then book my guy in for an haircut. You start doing that and you might be able to keep your job. It's like a video game, arcade game, time trial. You've got to just keep doing enough to unlock the next part of the track and keep going. That's what you got to do. You need to you don't need to change your philosophy. You don't need to abandon your principles, but you got to find a way to win.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you for joining us at home as always. We'll see you in a bit.